What's up, fam? This is the day the Lord has made. We're here to rejoice and be glad in it. So happy to have you here. Tune in to another segment of the Hope TV. We are just excited. As you know, I've been doing the media for a long time, and we are committed to bringing you quality programming on a weekly basis with our church. But we ramped up our efforts when the pandemic started on March 19th. Some of you were with us as we started our first broadcast, which was called Pastoring in a Pandemic. And from March 19th up until April 20th, we were blessed to have over 5 million viewers to view all of our telecasts through our cumulative platforms. It's absolutely mind-blowing. I'm still mind-blown right now just to think that God would bless our efforts like that, and people literally all over the world have been impacted by our programming. So I want to thank you for doing that. So if you've been watching by Apple TV, Roku TV, our new followers on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, those who've been watching by Periscope through the House of Hope Atlanta website, the edewithsmith.org website, or the House of Hope app, however you've been watching, I want to thank you for that. And while you're watching, drop us a line. Let us know where you're watching from, the city, state, and the country. It means so much to us. We want to know your demographics so we can more specifically just kind of bring programming that's unique to your specific areas. And if you're watching through a medium that will allow you to subscribe now, or like now, or follow now, or send a link now, why don't you consider doing that? It will mean the world to us. Send this positive content to some other people. It certainly will be an incredible moment of empowerment for them. As I said earlier, we've come from one broadcast on March 19th until today. Now we have 22 different shows that we're offering this week that deal with the whole segment of society. We want to undergird all of our content with an emphasis on faith, family, finances, fitness, our faculties, fellowship, and even interjecting some fun along the way. So if you've been moved, if you've been impacted or empowered in any way, please let somebody know that the Hope TV is bringing some quality content to really make a difference, to give you a daily dose of hope throughout this pandemic. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Every broadcast that we're actually presenting now is averaging between 50 to 100,000 people per show. And that's all based upon the grace of God and great people like yourselves. So thank you for all you're doing. Today is one of our top shows. It's called Single in the City. And tens of thousands of people literally are watching this and our programming. I hope you've been inspired. We have two shows for singles. One is called Grown and Sexy for those who are over 40. This one is called Single in the City for those who are under 40. And it's been a very exciting show, a very fun show. And I'm excited today to introduce three guests we're going to have with us today. One is a native of New York. She is a graduate of Norfolk State University, and she's been doing a whole lot in the area of business. She's doing a whole lot in the area of administration. She's a thinker. She handles her business. She's a mother, and she wears all of these hats very well, and we're excited to have her here. I'm going to let her tell her more about herself. Aliyah Dewey. What's up, Aliyah? How are you?
Hey, Pastor. I'm doing
How are
good. How
you?
are you?
Everything
I'm
well?
good. Yes, sir, I
Outstanding. Good to see
am.
you. Thanks for being on. And we have another native this native is of the Midwest. She's from Bloomington, Illinois. Grew up there in her father's church and singing and being involved. Just very precocious. Moved to Atlanta to be a student at Spelman College, where she distinguished herself as a scholar and a thinker. She works in sales now. She has her own podcast. She has a tremendous eye for things that are relevant to millennials. She's a thought leader and she's a change agent. And she's back with us here today. Keiki, Kanisha McSwain. What's up, Keiki? How are you?
Hey, Pastor Bro. I'm good. How are you?
I'm outstanding. Glad to have you here. Good to see you. Appreciate you being back with us today.
Glad to be back.
Last but not least, we have another native of Illinois. He's from Chicago, Illinois, and grew up there doing everything in music, acting, and in entertainment. Moved to Atlanta to pursue further dreams of entertainment and media. He's worked as a journalist. He's worked as a news reporter. Just a jack of all trades. He's committed. He's fun. He's humorous. but he gets the job done. And we're glad to have him with us today. The multi-talented jack of all trades, Glenn Marshall. What's up, Glenn? How are you doing today, sir?
What's going on, Pastor? How you feeling?
I'm great, but it's good to see you today, man.
All right.
Glad to have you. All right, so we're right ready to get started. So I want to start with you, Aliyah. I just want you to tell us a little bit about your story, about your journey, who you are, and how did you get from Virginia to where you're back visiting home now in the pandemic. But tell us who you are and how you got to where you are now.
Okay. So my name is Aliyah Dye. I am a native of New York. Um, I graduated high school in New York in 2006, and then I attended Norfolk State University. I graduated with my Bachelor of Science in Tourism and Hospitality in 2010. I also had my son in 2010. So I had my son in January of 2010, but I still walked across that stage and got my degree in May. I stayed in Virginia up until 2015, and I made a decision to move to Georgia in October of 2015. I visited the House of Hope when I moved there. I became a member there in 2015, and now I am also employed there. So I'm the receptionist, and I also work with the children in nursery and youth department. I never saw myself really working in ministry, but I love it. It's changed my life, and it's changed my son's life. That's how I'm at.
Good. Give your family my regards. I'm glad you're back home during this time, enjoying it. You know, maybe miss my mom this weekend, but I'm glad you're there with her, having a good time. Uh, Keiki,
Yes,
tell us
sir.
about yourself, about your journey from Illinois to the ATL. Let's hear about it.
Yeah, so born and raised, as Pastor said, in Bloomington, Illinois, which is a small town right smack dab in the middle of the state. All of my family is from Chicago. Uh, Very close ties, as Pastor said, with the city as well. Moved here in 2004 to attend Spelman College. It was my dream school. I actually didn't apply anywhere else. So I thank God that I got in. But moved here to go to Spelman, matriculated there. I believe it was actually Mother's Day of '05 that I finally made my way to Greater Travelers Rest or the House of Hope. My uncle had been telling me to go there pretty much my entire freshman year. I was hard headed. I really didn't know where it was. I had all these reasons, but the moment I walked in, I knew that was my church home. So it was Mother's Day weekend of '05. So I'm really excited that that's back around. Like Pastor said, I work in sales 9 to 5. I have my own business at Know Your Saints. I have a podcast. I really love creative people. And so it's my pleasure to interview them and discuss their journeys. I am living here in Atlanta and loving it.
You know, 15 years this weekend. Are you
Yes,
kidding
it's been a
me?
long time. Yes, you raised
Whoa.
it. How crazy.
No, that's crazy. That's crazy because Gerald. Whenever I go to Chicago, everybody who knows gospel music knows about the Gray Boys, and they know Gerald and Percy Gray. We just I love those guys. That's her uncle. And Gerald kept telling me about his niece. His niece. I said, man, well, she won't come to church. And you finally came this
I
weekend.
was
So, but
going.
here's the thing, huh?
I was going where I shouldn't have been going, but I was going.
I
So,
got you. Okay, I got you. Well, I'm glad, and you've come from being disobedient to your uncle to being like family, because we love you, and under just crazy about you. So
that's
thank you.
my sis.
I've been there 16 years. You've been there 15. So
Yes,
outstanding. And then your sister is the worship leader at my son of ministry's church there in University Park, Faith Movers
yep,
Church. Pastor Moses Herring. So it's all in the family.
yep.
Well, shout out to them. Shout out to Pastor Herring there in Faith Movers in University Park. So small world. Glenn, tell us
Very.
about your journey, brother.
All right. Well, like you said, I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I graduated from Northern Illinois University in 2010. And from there, I just catapulted into a reporting journalism career. I worked in Chicago as a producer at the NBC station there, moved to Springfield, Illinois, started reporting there, then moved to Boston. And 4 years after that, I moved here to Atlanta to pursue acting while still doing some journalism stuff. I work at the local CBS station here as a reporter, and then I also report for the Weather Channel and a couple other things that's out here in Atlanta. Just moved here to, pursue more of my dreams and acting. That's always been a passion for mine. So not getting any younger, so I decided to just come on out here and do it.
So let me ask you this: how long have you been acting? When did that start?
Well, like I said, it's been a passion of mine since, man, I want to say like since the second grade. I was in plays in high school, even in college, did some stuff. And somebody just told me, hey, you got a good voice. You should do radio or TV. And I just fell into reporting until I really was like, I want to go for my passion. So it's been a good ride. Now it's time to ride another wave.
It's funny because the first time I saw you, I think I saw you on the Weather Channels. I'm like, wow. And so it's a small world how it all comes together. So what a
Yeah.
great story. You know, Aliyah, I want to start with you because I think it's important. You said something that's very powerful. I think is so incredible about you when you graduate from college there at Norfolk State. That you had that baby boy in your belly, but you made a decision that you were gonna cross that line. You know what I mean? That you're gonna go through with it, and you didn't let all of what goes along with being pregnant stop your journey. So tell us about that, because I think it's a good lesson for people, whether they're single or whether they're married, whatever, how you continue to pursue that and go through it and finish strong. Tell us about that.
Well, I am divorced, so I met my ex, my son's father, at Norfolk State. So I always say I married my college sweetheart. So we actually got married in 2009, and I had my son January of 2010. So I was in my senior year at Norfolk State. His dad had joined the army, so I had to experience the whole military life. Married, I had my son in January. I graduated in May, so he was 5 months when I had him. And then in June of that same year, I found out that my husband was going to be deployed. So I had a whole just kind of whirlwind of major life events happen like in under a year. But I was just determined. I was just my mom. She was a single mom with two girls. I watched her, work really hard to provide for us, and I was just like a baby isn't, he wasn't gonna stop my life. If anything, I just know I needed to work harder. It wasn't planned, it happened, and I just knew for me, like I still needed to finish what I wanted to do. So, I mean, I made it happen. And I tell that to a lot of young people, even some people who get pregnant and they're like, oh, it wasn't expected. I don't feel like I can, live out my dreams or do the things that I want to do anymore. And I always tell them, like, that's not true. You can all, if anything, let your children, motivate you to do better. It might take you a little longer to get to the finish goal, to the end of the road, but you still can get there. So for me, it was just, I didn't look at it as a burden or, oh, my life is over, I won't be able to do anything or I won't be able to be successful. If anything, he pushed me more so in the right direction, and he motivated me to work harder and to do more because I wanted to be a great example.
It's so fascinating that we're having this conversation, particularly, it's the week leading up to Mother's Day. And, I think about the nostalgia in your conversation. My mom, she with the Lord now, but she was 14 when she had my sister. And so she had, all three of us, my two sisters and I, my mother was very, very young when she conceived and she gave birth to all of us. And when I about her story and her journey, how she got married young, back in the back there in the '60s, when you get married, and you have a child, you're supposed to get married. You're supposed to be with the child's father,
Mhm.
be with the child's mother. And they called them shotgun weddings back in Georgia and Macon, Georgia. And sometimes I think what happens is, the reality of what you just said. You got married young, and even though you got divorced, the strength in knowing that I don't have to be married or have to stay in a relationship just because I have a son. Can you get that kind of information? Because a lot of people I think are traumatized and terrorized by feeling like that just because I have a child with someone, whether I was married or whether it was, whether I was single when I had the child, it doesn't matter. But the importance of realizing that you don't have to stay in a relationship or marriage with somebody just because you have a child by them. Can you talk about that?
Right. So for me, like I said we got married in 2009, and our divorce was finalized in 2018. So I've only been divorced for 2 years now. And I think at the time, like I said, we had so many things, so many life changes going on. I was 21, he was 23. We wanted to make the family work, but I think, in hindsight, we still really didn't know who we were as people, because we both were young. Like I said, we were in college, so it's like, okay, we know we love each other, but I think as time went on, we both wanted better for our family, but I think we were still on a journey as to trying to find out who we were. And so right now, we co-parent. We have a good co-parenting relationship. He's in Georgia as well. But I had to just realize, for me, it's like, okay, I don't want to keep arguing all the time. It's like, okay, I'm here. I want this family to work. I come from a single parent household, and I think a lot for me is I was more afraid to leave the relationship at first because I didn't want to become another statistic per se. Oh,
Mm.
I'm a woman, I'm a black woman, and now have a quote unquote baby daddy, or this failed marriage or relationship. So at first, it was really hard for me to leave because I think I was more concerned with what other people were going to think. And for me, I kind of felt like I failed. It's like, well, dang, like I really wanted this, but I'm not happy in it. So, like, what do I do? And like I said, at that time, I was going to church, and like during that time, like I really felt like I just really had to depend on God, to help me through the situation, because on one side I felt guilty, I felt embarrassed, ashamed, like, oh my gosh, it's me tearing up my family because I want a divorce. But on the other hand, it's just like I don't want to, in a sense, have my son raised in a toxic environment. And not to say toxic as far as like there was any physical abuse or anything like that, but just arguing, not getting along. We coming in the house, I'm going in the room, his dad is in the living room, nobody's talking. That affects your children. And I think sometimes people will just settle for that. And I just wasn't willing to settle for it. It's like I want my home to be peaceful. I want this to be my safe haven. And I was like, well, my mom did it. Me and my sister, we're good. So at the end of the day, I had to think about my happiness, my peace of mind, and I just made a decision to leave the relationship, and we've been good. It's been a struggle. We had to have to rebuild, afterwards. But if I say it for me, I feel like it was worth it. My son is happy. He still gets to see his dad. We co-parent very well. But for me, having that peace of mind when I come back into my house every day, it's like, okay, I don't have to do an argument. Like, I don't have to worry about you walking around on eggshells. I'm walking around on eggshells. For me, I just had to make the best decision for me and for what I thought was best for my son at the time.
I, I understand. It's interesting that you married your college sweetheart, and Keiki had a high school sweetheart that she thought she probably was going to marry too at one point. So I think it's a perfect segue in Keiki hearing your story, because here you are, you felt he was the one, I guess, or he felt you were the one, and here you are a few years away from high school, and yet you hadn't made that decision yet. So let's hear about this high school sweetheart. I want to see what's going on and why you curved, my friend. Why you curved? Because I'm sure it wasn't his fault. So I want to hear about what happened.
Well, this is kind of tricky because if I'm honest, when I came into high school was dating someone who's more so like my childhood sweetheart, and then we actually ended up reconnecting down the line right before my dad passed, and it was not something that I ever thought I would be back in, and found myself back in it. And to be 100% honest, I was really there because I knew my dad was on his way out, about to pass away. Maybe within, I didn't know it was going to happen so soon, but I knew it was going to happen, you know, rather quicker than I would like. And I wanted to be with somebody who had at least known him and like shook his hand and looked him in the eye and all those important things. So I kind of settled back into that relationship because of that. But there was no way in the big picture that I should have been back in that relationship. There was no way I should have kind of placed myself back into the hands of somebody who didn't really truly care for me. Everything looks really glossy when you leave a small town and you move to a major city like Atlanta. I know that sometimes even my life comes off a lot more glamorous than it is. And I just feel like some people can take advantage of that. So the short of the long with him is that he was not ready to be in a relationship with me. I'm a woman who knows exactly what I need from a man. I know how I'm supposed to be treated. I know what love from a man feels like, genuine love from a man. And I just have to, make the call, Pastor. Sometimes you just have to, cut it off if it's not right. If it's not, as this was saying, and toxic, not even meaning like he ever put his hands on me or anything like that. But when it doesn't feel healthy anymore, it's not worth staying in. So, I'm not the same person I was when I was in junior high school, or even in high school, or even in college for that matter. So sometimes you have that nostalgia of, oh, we've been through this and we've had these experiences together, and he knows my dad. I don't want to have to marry somebody who's never met my father. I don't have to tell a man about my father. All these reasons you give yourself to stay in situations, and none of them matter at the end of the day if you can't come home and love on your spouse from time to time. Like that's just it. So that was the call for me. I had to realize that the nostalgia didn't mean much, and I had to make the call. So
It's funny that you said that because I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for people from my hometown, and you know, for me, having people around that have always been that's from the crib, people who know my restaurants, people who know where I played ball, went to school, know my teachers. You know, I think somehow I developed this safety, my safety net, people who knew me when, people who, because you go to Atlanta or New York, people, they fast talkers, or you go to the Midwest, Illinois, Chicago, you guys are rude. New
Whoa,
York,
whoa,
everybody
whoa, be
because
easy, be easy,
yeah.
be easy.
Right.
But
Let's
you know
go
what I'm
there, my
saying,
friend.
you know, but a different kind of culture, and so sometimes I think it's a emotional longing for what's home, and I think, and especially when you go through something that's traumatic, that's why the fact that Aliyah's home with her mom. I often tell Andre when my mom died, I don't have a home, so it's like there's no place at home. And her mother, my mother-in-law, got married. My mother-in-law got married a couple of years ago, and she moved away, and she was gonna sell her house, the house where I've been going for 35 years, and I was just I went through a hard time because I'm like, if my mom is gone, I don't have home, so I can relate to that. And then when the traumas with your dad, I think that's very telling because what you said, you wanted a sense of him and a connection with him. Let me ask you this question, Kanisha, while I'm on this point. Do you think you're looking for your dad in in men? Are you looking for him, or because you know how he loved you? Are you looking for that?
no, when I was younger, I would always say I wanted to marry my dad. I want to marry
Okay.
my daddy. All daddy's girls
Right.
say that. And
Right.
as became older, I realized that I'm a lot different in my spiritual walk, and I'm a lot different in my kind of like attitude than my mother is. And it takes a certain type of woman to have been with a man who was a man for the church, for the community. I mean, she just sacrificed so much in her marriage to let my dad live in his purpose. And I praise and thank God that she did that, because now his legacy lives on, in our community, statewide, even national, on the national level, even because of the work that he did. But it took a certain type of woman to be with my dad. So I'm not looking for my dad. First of all, I don't want to marry a pastor. Okay, so
Right.
I don't want to. I'm not saying there's anything else. I'm just saying that, I was thinking earlier about Know Your Saints and about another kind of idea for my company. And it came to me that pastors and ministers and intercessors, they are also first responders. You guys don't always get a chance in moments of crisis to sit back and when you have a congregation, you have thousands of people that call you for anything that happens in their life, and it's just, so it's not that anything's bad with being married to a pastor. It's just that I don't want that, and so what I'm looking for, more so than a man that's like my dad or who is my dad, nobody can give me that love and that attention that he gave me. I was wanting someone who at least knew him, who shook his hand. My dad, pastor, shook his hand, looked him in the eye, felt that grip, it meant something to me that he at least knew the man my dad was. So, yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Glenn, we haven't talked, you and I've had some interesting conversations about you and your social life since you've been in Atlanta. And I know your mom, you had some sickness in your family, I think, a couple weeks ago. Your mom, somebody, family.
Yeah.
But one thing I noticed about you, and I haven't told you this yet, but you're always on the go. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's like, I've been watching you, and I see young ladies in the church who may catch your eye, or because under now we're the consummate matchmakers. We always trying to hook people up. We done.
They are.
I don't know. Yeah, always. We do that. And but I'm always watching you, brother, and you always going, always busy. You never still. So my goodness, what's up with you socially, man? I mean, Energizer Bunny. Are you ever gonna chill? You gonna be open, or you just focus on what you focus on? Talk about that for a moment.
I mean, honestly, for the past couple of years, I've been like seriously career driven. Just like the young ladies on the call, on this with us right now. Like, I've been through a situation. I was engaged at a young age. At 24, I proposed to my fiance at the time, and we were together for about 2.5 years. And she didn't make it down the aisle. She ended the relationship. It just wasn't a right fit. We were both in journalism, and chasing careers when you're young, trying to get to a big market like Atlanta, Chicago, or Boston. It's hard for a couple together to make that leap together. And we were just dealing with a lot of issues and things like that. But it was traumatic. I'm gonna be honest. It was tough for me to get through that breakup, the relationship, to let that thing go. So to be honest, I've just been playing very low key, not necessarily dating as much as I probably should. I'm career focused right now, career driven, focused on my acting, doing acting classes, meeting different people, networking, and trying to figure that thing out. And if a young lady, catches my eye, I'll talk to her. But even with that situation, I've learned to be not too forgiving. And once you do something that I'm not cool with, you got maybe like 2 or 3 strikes, and I'm out of the picture real fast. And it's because the trauma that I've dealt with and things like that. But that's just me right now. So I don't date much, because like I could like a young lady, and then she'll say something or do something that's like, yeah, it's a wrap. That can never work. And well, I walk away from it.
Let me ask you this, Glenn. Do you feel like, have you ever wondered whether you should have sacrificed your career and your goals for the sake of that relationship? Have you ever felt you made a
Oh,
mistake
absolutely
since you
not.
got?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. God bless her heart, but it wasn't going to work. Even if I had a sacrifice, you just know when something is not there. And we had a lot of issues that we dealt with on my end, on her end, and coming together, it just wasn't meshing. So it was a wrap after, I want to say, the turmoil started within 6 months, and her family got into it with my family, and I was like, look, I can't move forward with this. This ain't gonna work. So when she called it, I was like, thank you, Lord. Look out. Because I'm
You,
be honest, I kind of wanted my ring back, but I ain't get it back. But it's all good.
Get the ring back.
It's all good, you know. It's
you know,
all
it's
good.
it, it's funny you said that because you know, Andrea was like Keiki. Her dad was a pastor. You know, he passed when she was like 9, and he pastored, you know, a huge church, one of our largest churches in our city. And she swore that she would never marry a pastor. And so she didn't want anything to do with me because I was a preacher. So she, you know, and you know, musician. So we connected musically. We do things musically, but she would she wouldn't give me the time of day because I was a pastor. On the other end, there was a young lady many years ago when I was in high school who I really I liked this young lady, and when I first started preaching, but she, you know, she couldn't she nothing about her said she under didn't want to be with a preacher, but had the qualities and qualifications because her mother was. This young lady, nothing about her said preacher's wife. You understand? So I get that, trying to find that thing that fits into that nice pattern for you, that you know that you can move seamlessly and move forward. Let me ask you a question, Aliyah. You know, you went through that. You recently came through a divorce, and you know, we talk about the pain and all you went through, and I want to just celebrate you because you were very honest about that struggle, as many people do. You know, not wanting to fail or what people are going to say. Because when we go through things that are traumatic, or whether it be a divorce or mistakes or something we did, it can be harmful. But how you navigate it to find your peace? Because when I see you always smiling, you walk in the room, you bring life. You're not bitter, you're not angry, you're navigating motherhood so well. How have you been able to find who you are now coming through that? Because I think some people who may be watching now who's single, they're still stuck in those moments. How did you get from that to where you are right now?
Um, Honestly, I just had to find peace. Once I found peace in my decision making, um, I really turned to my faith more. I really do feel like my relationship with God got stronger through that time. I honestly went through just a moment of transparency. Like I went through a small moment of depression during that time. I didn't want to talk to anybody. But again, I would say my blessing was really my son. I was like, well, look, girl, you got to get it together. Like, it seemed like the end of the world, but at the end of the day, I knew that I had this little boy that I was still responsible for, and I just couldn't honestly just let my life just fall apart because something didn't work out. And then once I was able to, realize that and accept it for what it was, I was able to move forward. I did counseling. If anybody's going through anything, don't be ashamed to go to counseling. Because sometimes it's hard to talk to your family or like your friends. And for me, a lot of my friends, they weren't married. So, of course, for them, it's just like, oh, well, forget that, forget him, girl, just move on with your life. But they didn't really understand. So, and when you're going through certain things like that, you don't want to always hear, oh, well, just get over it. Because it's not an easy thing to get over. So between going to church and going to counseling, and then just trying to have a better perspective just out on life, I was able to come through it. And, I'm happy. My son is happy. We're doing, what we're supposed to be doing. Um, you know, it, I'm just enjoying life. So I had to kind of refine myself because I had been a mom and a wife since I was 21. I got divorced at at 30. So I was like, well, who am I now? So I had to refine things that I like to do. And at one point, to be honest, I didn't even know what I wanted to do. I was like, well, I'm used to coming home, being being a mom and a wife. Okay, I don't have to be a wife anymore, but I'm still a mom. But outside of my son making me
I
happy,
was just
what
about to
makes
text you.
Aliyah
I don't know what
happy?
happened, but it just went.
So I found, once I found those things, that's why I'm just bubbly. It's like, okay, I made it through one of the rough times of my life. I don't stress over, minute things. And for me, it's like I just like to be around positive things. I try to make people smile, or I'm just genuine. And I feel like if the vibe isn't right for me, I don't want to be around it. It's like I've dealt with so much of that, and I've overcome that. And I know life isn't going to be perfect. We're going to go through things, but I just always try to have a positive outlook and perspective on, getting through things, or, just trying to empower and uplift other people, because like you can get through it, but you have to have a will, and you have to want to get through it, and you have to want to be better. It's like, okay, have your moment, but you can't stay in that moment. How can you get out of that moment? And surrounding yourself with positive people, and just trying to keep as much negativity out as possible. That's how I help. That's what helped me get to where I am.
Awesome. Um, Keiki, I want to talk a couple things because you're doing a couple things that are awesome. I want to, because you're doing a lot in terms of producing. You are a content creator, and I want to hear about, I know that you know your saints. As a matter of fact, I wore one of the uh, sweatshirts that you gave me one day last week. It was kind of cool outside. Yeah, I went to shoot my, I went, yeah, I went to shoot my rifle, and it got outside, and it got cool, so I was able to put it on. But anyway, tell us a bit about the podcast, because we've created content before, and so we're doing some more stuff together in the future. But I want to hear about this podcast. What brought this podcast on? Talk about it, and what is the purpose? What are you trying to accomplish? What do you hope your message to be through it?
So back in 2000 and maybe like 9, I think it was, I started a blog called KeikiSpeaks.com. I only started that blog because people were always telling me I should start a blog. It was one of those things where I didn't see it in myself, but maybe other people saw it in me type situation. So I started the blog, and I wanted it to be a positive entertainment platform, meaning you have all the gossip blogs out there. I wanted people to be able to come to my blog and read good stories about celebrities or about news that was going on in the world. And I wanted it to be a platform that people, even the people who I wrote about, wanted to go to, right? So you might remember I was in that MTV competition. Someone
Absolutely.
had been watching my Twitter handle for about 6 months. They emailed me, and I had just lost a job the day I got the email from MTV. I was working as a receptionist, and I got home. I kind of like laid on my couch, like, Lord God, now what? And I got an email from someone who said she was with MTV, and I ignored it because I'm like, it's spam. There's no way. And this lady is like trying to prove to me, like begging, like call this number, do this. I promise you, I'm. So she ended up being real. And what happened in that season was that God allowed for my blog and my Twitter handle to be promoted by MTV. We were up in Times Square. It was an amazing opportunity. And it really kind of established me in a way that probably would have took years to establish. That's how I was able to start getting interviews and, learn a lot about what it meant to speak with PR folks and stuff like that. So, the podcast itself is actually just a leg of the blog. Over the years, I have always promoted. I'm a musical person. I've always promoted music. I love music. I'm the person all my friends hit up like, hey, what you listening to now? Or who should I be checking out? Or, I'll get a post like, Keiki put me on to this person 2 years ago. You know what I mean? So I love to talk music. I love to talk about people's journeys in music. And so the podcast came about initially as a visual show. So I produced this whole show. I was only able to get 2 done. People have no idea, Pastor, you can attest to this, how much work it takes to put together like a 30-minute show, or an hour-long show. And I have no history in this. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm the queen of Google, okay? If I need to do something, I'm a Google, I'm gonna figure it out. Like, I had a friend, Ash, who was a videographer, and I put this on her plate, and she said, "Together we'll figure it out." So she produced my first 2 shows, which are actual visual shows, where I'm basically getting together with indie and even some non-indie artists at this point, creatives in general, not just musicians. I have had culinary artists on my show, painters, visual artists. I mean, anybody that is in the creative lane, I sit down with them and I talk to them about their journey and what makes them excited to keep going in their purpose and in their passion. And I co-sign them. So that's why it's called the Co-Sign Podcast with a K. So it's like, instead of people having to call me and saying, "Hey, who should I call for this?" or "What CD should I listen to?" or whatever, they can just listen to the podcast and see all of the people that I kind of co-sign in a sense. So the platform is for creatives. You don't have to be a musician. You can be an actress, a songwriter, a painter, culinary artist, a hairstylist, whatever you do that is creative at its essence. I want to sit and talk about it. So that's what the Co-Sign Podcast is for. And I'm really excited that now during this quarantine time, we're able to do some catch-ups with people we've interviewed in the past, because they've grown so much in their careers since we spoke to them, like in 2018 or 2019. So we're just catching up with them and doing it as a visual. But most of the podcast episodes can be found on like Apple iTunes podcast and like Google Play.
Outstanding. You are both just doing incredible things, and I think what I love about is the balance that you, Aliyah, and you Keiki, you bring to it. That you can be believing, have faith, and love God, and be active involved in ministry, and love, but still you can love music. You can enjoy the arts. One of the things, one of the criticisms that I've had probably the last 30 years is that I love music. I love arts. And I don't think that you just got to listen to 102.5 all day long. I think you can be abreast on what's happening in pop culture. And when I see the work that you're doing, you're always able to, and so many people, they demonize everybody. If it's Beyonce, they demonize Beyonce. If it's Jay-Z, if it's Nipsey Hussle, this man dead and gone, and they spitting on him in the grave. And you say something positive, then they accuse you of being antichrist or carnal. So I just appreciate that about what you're doing with your blogs is important. Glenn, I'm gonna ask you a question in terms of pursuing the goals. You left Chicago, working in Springfield. You in a news station. A lot of things happen in Chicago. I want you to talk about, the courage and the faith it takes to leave family, to leave mama, to leave everybody, travel across the country from something that was stable to start over. Because I think that's a good word for somebody who's watching now. They may be stuck. It may be a time for people to consider, evaluate, am I in the right place? And I want you to talk about that for a moment.
It was actually it was tough because my family, they didn't want me to leave. They were like, "You're leaving a good job in Chicago," because at the time I was just a producer in Chicago, and they were just like, "You're leaving a great job in Chicago. Why would you go to Springfield, Illinois? It's so small, Podunk, Central Illinois." And I was like, "Because I'm pursuing my dreams." And I feel like if I hadn't have done it, I would always look back and say, "I wish I could have, or I should have, or what if I did." It was really, really tough because, like I said, I left a good job making decent money to go make small chump change at the beginning of your career as a journalist, as a reporter. But the experience that I had is something that I will never forget. I mean, at the time, I was in love with someone that I met there in Central Illinois. I still keep in contact with the people that I was connected with out there, the pastor out there. He's like a father to me. It's just like it's a great experience to take a leap. Steve Harvey, I love the guy. He's great. He did something where he was talking to someone in the audience on his show one day, and he was just talking about taking that leap. And you never know how much faith you have or how much courage you have until you actually take a leap that's so serious like that. Even with the leap moving from Boston, I left a job in Boston, a reporting job there, to move out here to Atlanta. with nothing. When I moved here, I had not one job or anything. And right now I freelance at a bunch of different places. But when I first got here for that first 2 weeks, I had nothing. No one was calling me saying anything. And it's just like a leap of courage, a leap of faith. It's scary. You could have a lot of regrets at some points, but when you get to the end or when you get through something, you always say, man, I did something. I could look back and say, at least I tried. Even if I never get to an Oscar award-winning movie, show, whatever it may be, at least I tried. And I mean, I'm not struggling. I'm not hurting for anything. I'm happy, and my success is starting to follow me. So that's what it is all about. It's just like taking that leap, taking that jump, having the faith, and trusting God and trusting yourself to know that you're going to be okay.
Wow. Listen, you three are incredible. That's powerful, man. And all of you in your own rights have exercised faith. You know, whether it's moving, whether it's Aliyah's story, whether it's what Keiki's doing now and what you're doing. You know, this whole piece is about faith and continuing and not stopping and overcoming the odds and following your dreams. I just want to thank y'all for being on today. Certainly, you provide a daily dose of hope to me. And I'm sure the thousands of people who are viewing this are going to be inspired as well. So thank y'all. I pray God's blessings on each of you. Y'all stay safe through this season. And we're going to be here a while. And hopefully y'all going to come back and have a conversation with us in the future. But thank y'all for being a part. Thank you for sharing your stories. Thank you for sharing your experiences. And may God continue to bless and keep each of you. That's our prayer. Family, you've been watching Singe, the Seat of the Hope TV. And we've had some incredible guests today to share some powerful stuff with us. No matter what your age or stage, you can apply these principles to your life, and your life can be better. We're going to close this broadcast now. As we close off, take hope with you. And always remember this: if you'll be good to God, then God will be good to you.